Imagine you and a friend went to buy the same thing, but bought different sizes. Now imagine if that thing was 953 kilometers long, and the different sizes weren't by accident, but by design. Amidst strong competition for the wool trade from the New South Wales Riverina, the 1870s saw a rapid expansion of rail networks in both states in the direction of the New South Wales Victorian border. Albury Station opened in 1881, and the premiers of both New South Wales and Victoria attended the official opening, marking the first time in Australian history that two colonial premiers had appeared together publicly. In 1883, the respective states' railway lines finally met at the Albury Station. But there was a problem. It all boiled down to colonial rivalry between the two states, and they could not agree on a common railway gauge. Victoria built their 1,600mm broad gauge line, and New South Wales built their 1,435mm standard gauge line. As you can imagine, this caused quite an inconvenience. For passengers, the two differing gauge lines were placed either side of a whopping 460-metre long platform. A New South Wales train from Sydney would pull up on one side, and passengers would walk across to their Victorian train to Melbourne on the other side, and vice versa. The train timetables did not always align, and Albury Station included a large and very busy refreshments room where passengers could buy food and drink, what we today call a cafe, as well as liquor. Author Mark Twain passed through and commented, "The strangest thing, the unaccountable marvel that Australia can show, namely the break-in gauge at Albury. Think of the paralysis of intellect that gave that idea birth." But it wasn't just passengers who could not pass. Freight also had to change trains. In those days, it wasn't as simple as picking up a container and moving it to a new train. Most freight was sent in boxes or bags, and the freight was moved off one train and loaded onto another. Finally, in April 1962, a new standard gauge line from Melbourne's Spencer Street station opened all the way to Albury, and thus the Intercapital Daylight, the Southern Aurora, and the Spirit of Progress train services, along with freight services, could operate without passengers and freight needing to change trains. Except for the Riverina Express service that continued to terminate at Albury, with passengers transferring to Victorian trains until November 1993. Other trains would still stop in Albury to change from a New South Wales to a Victorian engine, or vice versa, until the mid-1980s. Because, of course, they did.